Things have been looking a lot better at Manchester United since Michael Carrick walked in the door. That said, it's only been 3 games and things could change if we go and lose 2 games in a row. We have Tottenham next, they are a bit of a bogey team. But the job that Carrick has done so far cannot be underestimated. Arsenal, when we played them, they were top of the league, they're still top of the league. They had not lost a game at home all season. They battered the likes of Bayern Munich at home, and Arsenal hadn't conceded 3+ goals in a single game for over 3 years. Manchester United went to the Emirates, beat Arsenal, and scored 3. Manchester City was second in the league at the time of facing them, and we had 3 goals disallowed for offside and basically battered them 4-5-0. Fulham was a difficult game. Fulham were actually second in the form league at the time of facing Manchester United over the last 8 games, have been one of the better teams, and they gave us a difficult game. But we never gave up that Bruno brilliance, that Sesko goal, the Manchester United DNA, the Fergie time winner. And what a start it's been under Michael Carrick. We've got Tottenham Hotspur next. I'm a bit nervous for that, but lots has changed at Manchester United. We look better right now, and I'm going to explain why. Now, before I get into what Michael Carrick has been doing in training, the regime and the kind of strict rules he's been putting the players under, I also have to just give a shout out to Steve Holland. I think the job that he's doing at Manchester United should not go under the radar. He's a very, very experienced assistant coach, and actually he's been giving the players homework and he's been sending the slackers indoors in training, and he's had a big role to play, and we will talk about that later. But in today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 changes that are being made by Michael Carrick in his new brutal training regime, which is changing the Manchester United squad that seems to be having a good impact on the Manchester United squad as we've won 3 games in a row. So I'm going to break this down, and I will say before I break this down, of course, there's loads of positive reports coming out on Michael Carrick and his training regime and how things are good vibes, and a little bit of it will be a PR distraction from the fact that we have done nothing in January. Don't get me wrong. But I like Michael Carrick. I like what he's doing. I think he's doing a great job, and I hope these good results continue. So I'm going to break down a report by The Athletic. The Athletic are a very, very reliable outlet when it comes to Manchester United news, and they get very credible information. And they have spoken about some of the changes that Carrick has made from his first message to the squad to training and intensity, man management and trust. I will link the full article down below. I've taken a few bullet points to sort of explain what's going on inside Manchester United. So Carrick's first message to the squad was telling them, you play for Manchester United. This is a role of privilege. This is a role of responsibility. Don't underestimate, that you are a Manchester United player. And I think one of my favourite quotes actually was when Cunha did his interview as a new Manchester United player. Cunha was asked about the pressure, and he said, pressure? No, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to play for Manchester United, and that's the kind of players we want. The Athletic talks about how Manchester United players have been hurt by criticism. Ruben Amorim labelled them the worst Man United squad in history, and they were hurt by that criticism. So Michael Carrick coming in, getting behind the squad, bigging them up, telling them how good they must be if they've got to Manchester United, and this is a privilege and a responsibility to be here. Michael Carrick's kind of got the squad believing back on side. Do I think that, we've had issues where the dressing room have been wet wiped? We came 15th. They were labelled the worst squad in Man United history. You can't blame Ruben Amorim for saying that. I mean, you could say some of it's down to Ruben Amorim's shocking coaching, but you can't blame Ruben Amorim for saying that. And maybe they're a bit sensitive to that because we did finish 15th. But I think Carrick coming in and bigging up the squad and sending a positive message to the squad, of course, is going to basically make them lift the mood a bit. And I feel like that was the first impact that Carrick made. But the real impact Carrick has made has been in training. It was reported by The Athletic and many other outlets that since Michael Carrick has come in the door, sessions at Manchester United training are now more short, intense and highly focused. Injured players now must arrive early for treatment, and training has been cut short when standards were already high. And this was an interesting thing that Wayne Rooney had mentioned, that basically Manchester United before the Arsenal game, the match day before the Arsenal game, the energy in training was so high that Carrick cut the session short and thought, you know what, save that energy for the Arsenal match. He cut the training session short because he was happy with what he saw, and he went, that's exactly what I want to see. I don't need to drag this out any longer. Save your energy for Arsenal. And that's exactly what we did. We had a poor first 20 minutes versus Arsenal, but we were all over Arsenal in that second half. We clearly had more energy than them. And Wayne Rooney shared that. He said, the session before the Arsenal game ended early due to intensity. But there's one area that's going to be very difficult for Michael Carrick. He's changing training. We're going to talk about the rules. We're going to talk about, some of the harsher things that have been happening in training. It's shorter, but it's more intense, and you've got to fit a certain standard. But there's one difficult decision that Carrick has to make, and that is that we're only going to have about 13 games from now until the end of the season, which means that Michael Carrick can't really rotate much because we're only playing once a week. And now, players like Sesko have been in good form. We also have Mbuma that can play that role that have been in good form, and Cunha that can play that role that have been in good form. Will Mason Mount get in over Bruno Fernandes when Mason Mount's had a good season? Lenny Yoro is probably not going to get a sniff between now and the end of the season. And I think that is an issue that Michael Carrick will have. Lenny Yoro, Aiden Heaven, great young players that we need to develop, may not get a sniff between now and the end of the season because we're in none of the other competitions. But Michael Carrick apparently has been very impressive very early on with his man management and trust, according to The Athletic. Carrick explains his selection decisions clearly. He speaks to players one-to-one. He's probably explained to Sesko, I'm sorry you haven't started these few games and know you're in good form, but this is why. He's probably spoke to the younger players and said, you will get your opportunities next season. We're just in a situation where we've got 40 games all season, and I cannot rotate a winning team. I'm sure the young players understand that. Michael Carrick has basically earned the players' trust by talking to them about decisions, squad decisions, why they dropped, and giving that one-to-one support. But The Athletic also talks about, because of Carrick's elite playing career for Manchester United and his honest and calm authority, there's been no sort of public rock rollings or emotional outbursts over lack of minutes. Sesko, of course, will be disappointed not to start these last few games at Manchester United, considering that he got 3 goals in 2 games under Fletcher. But this is Michael Carrick. He's an experienced Manchester United player. He's explained to Sesko the situation, and Sesko has just got on with it. Players have just got on with it. And there's a lot of respect for Carrick in this Manchester United squad because of how good his playing career was and what a good player he was. There's a lot of respect for him from those below him. Now I want to talk about the discipline and the player accountability, because I think this is what we're all quite interested in. I remember Ten Hag came in and he put some new rules down. Ruben Amorim integrated some stuff. But I think it's Steve Holland that seems to be laying down the strict foundation. Steve Holland is an experienced coach. I'm going to talk about what Steve Holland has done, the work he's done with Chelsea and England. He's an experienced coach. He's laying down the rules. Now, Steve Holland was demand as fair, but demands hard work. The bare minimum is hard work. And if players are slacking, they're sent indoors. Man United want short sessions, but they want quality over quantity. Ruben Amorim was very quantity, same repetitive stuff over and over again for ages. Michael Carrick is short, sweet, but he needs that intensity. He'd rather a short session with high intensity than a long session with a low intensity. And if you lack the intensity, you're sent indoors by Steve Holland. Steve Holland is also giving players homeworks, video clips to review on phones after early sessions, and the preparation never stops. We've got 1 game a week. These players have more time to rest than ever. They've got shorter training sessions than ever. So yeah, they've got no excuse not to do their homework. And if you're slacking, you're sent indoors. Do your homework. There's a bit of discipline there. There's a bit of player accountability. And I think people underestimate the role of Steve Holland and what Steve Holland will bring to Manchester United. Steve Holland is one of the highest level assistant coaches in the footballing world. You could argue maybe even the highest. He took England to those finals with Southgate. He obviously was at Chelsea when they won Premier League and European titles. He's been on World Cup runs, European Championship finals. He's been trusted by so many top-level elite managers over the years. He's worked with so many elite-level managers that Steve Holland's experience, that cannot be underestimated. Michael Carrick may lack experience, but Steve Holland makes up for that. He's known as a coach's coach, not a headline seeker. He's not someone that wants to be the main man. He likes being a coach's coach. And he spent over a decade coaching at elite club level. He was a senior assistant at Chelsea across multiple managers' systems where Chelsea won multiple trophies. He worked with Ancelotti, Mourinho, some of the best. He was part of the coaching staff during league titles, domestic cups, and European competition wins. He was a long-term assistant with England. He helped guide England deep into the tournament, into the finals, into the European Championship finals, and was even awarded an MBE for his service to football. So a lot of people talking about Steve Holland and why this is maybe one of Man United's most underrated appointments to come with Michael Carrick. And that is because Holland is known for bringing a calm authority. He knows how to work in high-pressure environments. He knows how to manage big personalities, title expectations, big expectations. He knows how to work at big clubs. He's known for being detail-driven. There's training structure, tactical preparation, standard enforcement. After the Arsenal game, he's watching it back already. He's very on his tactics. He loves football. It's enforcing standards, enforcing intensity. And I think he complements Carrick. Carrick is the guy that the players will look up to, this great pro. Steve Holland is this experienced coach, discipline. And it's not, about getting attention or being a headline figure. It's about executing tactics, executing the right level of discipline. And I think they match each other so well. And also, since Michael Carrick has come in the door, Manchester United have made some changes to their match day and their long-term mindset. The team coach now arrives 10 to 15 minutes later, so they can, as soon as the players come out, the team coach, they're greeted by fans, so they can feel the energy. There's less waiting around before warming up. And the one thing that has been said many times, and the Athletic mentioned this, is Carrick is aware this is a honeymoon period. All can change. All can change. But so far, Carrick is doing a great job. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.